That I have to say before we start off tonight's show, some of you aren't going to like it, but you're going to have to get over it. A platform like mine doesn't exist without the First Amendment. And I think a lot of people heard that voice yesterday. I don't care who you vote for. But one thing that is abundantly clear, when you try to put a mouthpiece on someone on a platform like ours, people are not going to react accordingly. We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. Hope all of you are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Got to go on a little bit of a rant. Going to talk a little bit about recruiting to start off tonight's show. A lot of big-name, big-time recruits are going to be in attendance for LSU come Saturday night. Why the emphasis of winning is so crucial, not only for your season, but for your future. We will talk about that here tonight as well. Also, we'll break down a little bit of Alabama. Bryce Koon from 247 Sports and the Crowded Booth joins us at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Looking forward to him. We'll break that game down with him. We'll talk a little bit about college football in its entirety. We will talk about the playoff selection or the ranking system or ranking selection that was last night that it was announced. We will break it down into LSU edition. LSU comes in at 15. What does it mean if they win this weekend? And obviously, if you lose, it doesn't really matter going forward. And now that you are the third team out in this scenario, where you're still hovering and why this last stretch, guys, I mean, it is what it is. You are a contending playoff team in a 12-team format. So we'll talk about that here tonight as well. Got lots to discuss. Why I think you're going to make a playoff. I think you can make a playoff. You win Saturday, I think you're making a playoff. So what do I know? You're on the back stretch of a more easier schedule. So, look, man, make Saturday night even bigger. How does Brian Kelly and his team respond? We'll talk about that as well. And if we have time at the end, thoughts, questions, concerns, hashtag Ask Blake. You can get your questions in there. So I'm looking forward to that as well. We are live at 5 again. I don't like going live at 5, but the LSU basketball team has a game at 7. We will be back tonight after that game is over. Now, we are going to be recording something. We will not be live. That will only be on YouTube. So what I'm going to try to do is, now I'm getting Aunt Murphy from the Golden Boot Pod. We're going to break the game down after the game, the men's basketball game tonight. We're going to try to do like mini post games, 10, 15 minute post games after these basketball games. So I'm looking forward to tonight's opening tip, and I hope you are as well. I hate going live during LSU athletics. So even though this is LSU-Bama week, we are a little chaotic, election and college football playoff, Ruffino and Joe show. So I appreciate everybody bearing with me early in all of this. It's probably just going to be this week thing. But yeah, so we'll be live, Ruffino and Joe show right after this as well. So we got a lot going on. Also need to make an announcement. So I just talked about, we're going to do a mini post game for LSU basketball tonight. You need to get over to YouTube if you haven't done so already. I've been kind of teasing this and throwing it out there. If you're not subscribed on YouTube, you need to already. Dr. Josh Eaches from WBRZ, the chief meteorologist at WBRZ, and probably the person that you need to get all of your weather information from regardless, joined us earlier today. That episode is definitely taking off a little bit here about Hurricane Raphael. Could there be some early showers in the morning of LSU, Alabama? We break all that down with Dr. Josh Eaches. The bottom line is you need to go to YouTube. If you're already subscribed, you need to hit that notification bell. You need to hit it because a lot of content is coming on the YouTube channel. So we did an interview with him. No real level of concern right now. You might have some early morning showers, maybe even some in-game showers. But Dr. Josh Eaches breaks that down on Hurricane Raphael. So lots to do, lots going on here today. We'll actually here's another announcement to be back on YouTube as well. We will also be back over with our friends over at Service Hawk Digital. We've been doing these special segments each and every week from the Service Hawk Digital studio. So you got to be on YouTube. Got to be on YouTube. You'll get those full things. Talk about different things. I get a little bit more in depth and detail about that. And if you have questions for tomorrow's recorded stuff, you can send them in and I'll always answer your question. Your name might get in on that as well. Let's get to a couple comments here. Cody McGee with a $5 super chat says, is LSU still in the SEC championship or no? 1,000% they're in the picture. So listen, I fielded this question a lot this week, and I asked, it kind of dawned on me, like I didn't know this, and credit to our good friend and former producer, Zach, for filling me in on this. I didn't even realize this in the beginning of the week. You went out, you're going to Atlanta. Here's the God's honest truth. Like I just mentioned, if you win out, LSU will be in the SEC championship game. They'll have the tiebreaker over Georgia, beating Alabama. They'll only have one SEC loss. You are going to Atlanta. If I would have told you, and they got a long way to go in this, not counting, don't count your chickens before they hatch. But if you would have told me when Brian Kelly got hired that he would be in two, or potentially be in two, very likely of a potential to be in two SEC championship games 2 out of the 3 years, I would have told you, oh, shizite. Right? I mean, you would have said that. Now, you got to win on Saturday, but I feel really good where you're at right now. I really, really, really do. I feel so good at where you're at right now. So, yeah, you are still in it. Thank you for the super chat, Cody. But we're going to talk about that here tonight. Matthew says, ask Blake, does a 3-loss LSU team losing SEC championship game make the playoff? I feel like make it there would put you in, but look at Georgia last year. Well, difference there is Georgia was 5. I still thought Georgia should have been in. That's neither here nor there. But that's an interesting question. I think it kind of depends on why we're going to do an LSU ranking and talk about the rankings from last night. Just depends, man. Just depends. I don't think you host. I'd say that. I don't think you'd be in the top 8. Do you still get in the playoff? I mean, I don't know. Like, I really don't know, because here's the top 10. Here's the top 12 right now. Boise State, Bama, Notre Dame, BYU, who would be a 4 seed, but they win their conference, but they're still at 9. Indiana, Tennessee, Penn State, Texas, Miami, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon. I mean, you get in over Bama if you beat them and you win out. You know, like, what does A&M do? What if A&M has 2 losses and they have that win over you? I don't know. You know, I don't know. So you need a little bit of help here. What happens with Tennessee if Tennessee loses to Georgia? You know, like how it's a lot of football left to be played. That's what I'd tell you. A lot of football left to be played. Andrew says, Blake, are we out of the playoffs if we go to the SEC championship game and lose? That's the same thing. I mean, it just all depends. I think it all definitely depends. Speaking of the devil, there's Ann Marshall right now. He says, let's go. He'll be joining us tonight. Again, we won't be live. That coverage will be on YouTube. But we're going to do some of these post games for men's basketball. I'm going to ask Ann if, probably because he knows more about basketball than I do. So, yeah. Carvis says the last few years we've had a 3-loss team in the top 10. There will be some upsets. Very likely. It's true. Very, very, very likely. And you could be right. I just think, you'd have a lot that goes on. Does Notre Dame lose another one? I mean, Ohio State's got to lose. Ohio State or Oregon's got to lose. At that point, you'd probably want Ohio State to lose. Does Texas lose? Does A&M lose? I mean, it's all going to work itself out here. Does Ole Miss win out? What happens if Ole Miss wins out? I know that you beat them, but you get my drift there. You 100% get my drift. Okay, let's get rolling. Where is everybody listening to from tonight? 985-504-337-225. 318-31 great. Where are you listening to from tonight? Let us know in the chat. Speaking of the devil, here he is as well. The crowded booth, I'm assuming this is Bryce Koon, says there's a real discussion to be had about avoiding the SEC title race. Best case might be going 10-2, just going to the playoff. Yeah, I mean, I think, and we'll talk about this with Bryce, of course. I mean, the problem is if you don't win out, do you get in? And, like, I guess technically you would need I mean, if you win out, you would need to win out to make the playoff, in my opinion, because I don't think if you're 9-3, you make the playoff. But so it's kind of like you're in a catch-22 in a lot of ways too, right? Like, so I don't know. I don't know. You need to win out. That's how I feel, that you need to win out. But could you imagine a playoff game at home in Death Valley? Could y'all imagine that? Going to be crazy. All right, let's get to it. We got lots to get to. Bryce Koon joins us in about 15 minutes from now, so looking forward to having him on here with us. But let's get to it. Everybody do us a favor. Hit the like and share if you're on Facebook. Share to all those groups, all those social media pages. By the way, 750,000 views on YouTube, on Facebook this past month alone. Thank you so much. If you haven't done so, like the page, follow the page, all that good stuff. We greatly appreciate y'all doing that. If you're watching us on YouTube, like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Do us a favor, rate, review, and subscribe. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag, good friends over at J&J Exterminating, and our good friend Tyler Alexander over at LPT Realty. Come back. We'll talk a little recruiting, not necessarily about recruiting in depth of where guys are going, flips, anything like that. Why this game means more than just a win about your season, and it's pretty much for your future. We'll talk about that playoff run. We'll talk about the playoffs from LSU and the addition when we come back. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events, with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
Anthony Hall says, Blake, I know this is a little off topic. It is not off topic. Anthony says, but Kim Mulkey is killing it in recruiting right now. Yeah, Anthony, you think Kim Mulkey was mad that I keep saying that Jay Johnson's the best recruiter on LSU's campus? I still think it is, Jay, but Kim, Gary, they are killing it, man. Gary Reedus, they are killing it. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely killing it. And that's what, look, man, sports are not difficult. College athletics are not difficult to figure out because even with women's basketball, as the question just alluded to, and even going into football for like this week, right? I look at a situation, I look at a team like LSU, and I look at a lot of the people that are going to be in attendance, a lot of the recruits that are going to be in attendance for this game on Saturday night in Tiger Stadium in Death Valley. Look, the big dogs will be there. Underwood, Stewart, Pickett, Phillips, the Moses brothers, so many more. Chase Thomas will also be in attendance. But even talking more in the holistic style of what this weekend means. Guys, you want the win because, number one, you want the season. You want to beat Bama. You want to make a playoff. You don't want to go to a Cheez-It Bowl. You don't want to go to the Duke's Mayo Bowl. You don't want to go to the Pop-Tart Bowl. You're tired of having these recruiting losses. When is the other shoe going to drop for LSU in recruiting? You talked about it, and we talked about it all during the portal cycle when you thought that and let's just be honest, I still think you need depth along your interior defensive line. That's why Jacoby and Gillard coming back from a minimum a depth piece is a very big deal. Guys, you know this to be true about what I'm going to say. You know, I think about Jamar Chase, if you remember, being in attendance for when LSU beat number 2 Georgia. Remember that in 18? Like, I think about situations where you get a guy like John Emery to flip. Now, John has been hit or miss, but if you're looking at a game specifically about Alabama, I'm old enough to remember when John Emery called a swing pass or a wheel route, whatever you want to call it, out of the backfield, juked a man outside of his shoes, and scored a touchdown to get you on the board first. Like, I remember those things. I remember those big plays. But it starts with big game atmospheres. It starts when Saturday night in Death Valley with a chance of rain is never. I think of the pantheon of concrete and steel. I think about you, the fan. I think about the environment and the tailgating and all the stuff that we do and the great gumbo of culture that we have here. Guys, this isn't anything new. It's not just LSU-centric. But even from an outlook of recruiting perspective, some of these guys are recruited like Pickett, like Phillips, like Moses, like Thomas, like Underwood, and some that aren't, like Stewart, that you really, really want and you're really, really coveting. But guys, here's how I think about recruiting. And how I think about situations where when you win big profile games and you got a kid who was a top 50 prospect and Javian Toviano, who we don't know what his career arc at LSU will be. But when I think about a guy like Javian Toviano and he's storming a field as a recruit when you beat the University of Alabama. Emotions play big in recruiting. Now, you're going to say, well, Blake, it's all about money now. But if the money is even, you know what I'm trying to get at here, because quite honestly, you got to give LSU a little bit of credit. Been more than competitive in this cycle. Sometimes you have to go and do what you got to do. And I think you get the drift of what I'm trying to say there. But when I look at this game, guys, from Brian Kelly's whole future, you could look at this game and Bryce Underwood being there. You can look at this game and if Jakeem Stewart commits to you, big if, maybe a poor choice of words. It's not locked down completely, but if he's coming off the edge next year or 2 years from now and he's getting a crucial sack on third down, you're going to look back to this Bama game. Like, hey, man, with money being even and everything being even, how big does that game propel Brian Kelly in his future? I know it's an overarching sense. It's an overarching theme. Guys, not only will I be happy when or if you beat Alabama on Saturday, it's not just about the game and the season, because we can look at this and we as people, we as a human race, we're so sometimes narrow focused on the mindset of where things are right now for this year's team. That when you're looking 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5, how does that pan out? You know, I think of a guy like Jakeem Stewart as an example. Guys, when you get dudes like Underwood, Stewart, Pickett, etc., Meadows, now that one might be a little up in the air. But when I think of LSU, I think of big-time playmakers and big-time players like that. I think of the status of when Bryce Underwood talks about Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow, what that means. And when they win big games, what it means. So I know that all of us want to talk about money. And it's all about money. And you're right. When it boils down to it, it does sometimes come down to money. You are right. Though that's not going to change. But when everything else is even, and a lot of things can be even at a lot of great institutions like LSU and other schools, whether you want to admit it or not, I look at someone or a game, not someone, I look at someone like Brian Kelly, that's right, and say to myself, this can be a transformative game for you. It was the last time. It can be this time as well. All right, let's get to it. So the college football playoff rankings came out last night, and I know a lot of people were watching it. It's why a part of why we went early last night, because we had Rufino and Joe, and we had to react to it, and I had some other obligations that I needed to get to as well. But last night, the college football playoff rankings came out for the first time, and LSU was at 15. Doesn't bother me. I don't mind the spot, to be real with you. I don't mind where LSU was. So when you look at it, let's just go through the top 15. LSU was at 15, A&M at 14. Okay. SMU at 13. Well, that's going to play itself out. So if you would just kind of want to move yourself up a spot, if you're LSU and say you're technically 14, you probably could, because I don't personally think that SMU is going to be there in the end. Boise State at 12, Bama at 11. Let's stop right there. Guys, if you beat Alabama this weekend, you're going to be a top 12 team. And in this, could you imagine you versus Penn State? Because that's where you're going to be trending. It's funny, we talked about the playoff all season, and I always kept saying Penn State comes down to Baton Rouge. What are you going to do? Could be in a scenario where you're heading up to Happy Valley. And to be real with you, I don't know if LSU can't win that one. Long way to go there. But you beat Bama this week, you're going to be in the top 12. Notre Dame at 10. Yeah. BYU at 9, but they technically be the 4 seed because one of the top teams in the Big Ten at the top is going to go down. They will move down, so kind of evens itself out. But BYU at the current moment would be at 4 in the Big 12. Indiana at 8. I have a problem with that, but I'm not going to spend time on it here. Tennessee at 7, Penn State at 6, Texas at 5, Miami at 4, UGA at 3, Ohio State at 2, and Oregon at 1. Gus, Brian Kelly said this on the SEC teleconference today, and where I agree with him. I feel like every time I come out here, we talk about a situation or scenario, I always feel like that I'm agreeing with Brian Kelly. I especially agree with him on this one. Guys, I know Bama and LSU is an elimination game. You know that. I know that. The country knows that. That's why so many eyeballs are going to be tuned into it this weekend. But if you do take care of business on Saturday, well, the God's honest truth is, guys, you're going to be in the top 12 with a chance to run the table against a Florida team who's out with 2 starting quarterbacks, and you're in a situation where you're going to be favored down the stretch and even make it into Atlanta. Now, Bryce brought up, and he'll be joining us here in a minute, a great scenario. Where would you be there, right? Like if you're there, would you not want to make the SEC championship game? But technically, if you win out, which you're going to have to win out to make the playoff, in my opinion, clearly need to, or you're clearly going to be in the SEC title game. But here's the truth. Guys, Saturday, so much does ride on Saturday. Now, I know a lot of you, after an A&M loss, you think it's the same old LSU, and you're kind of down a little bit because the last time that you saw this team, they didn't do what they needed to do. They didn't take care of the business that they needed to take care of, and I'm with you there. I understand that. But here's the truth. I think that you're in a good spot on Saturday night in Death Valley. I love that Brian Kelly, ironically, is coming off of a loss. I feel like his teams get better coming off of a loss. I don't see Brian Kelly losing 2 games in a row, to be real with you. You have Kalen DeBoer, who has led an Alabama team that's been really much struggling on the road this year. Ask Vandy. Ask Tennessee. See, this game really does rely on you as the fans in so many different ways, because when you're there and it's a 3rd down and Jalen Milroe can't hit Kira Shizite, it's a very, very big deal. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, whether you want to believe it or not, whether anybody nationally agrees with you or not, you literally win this game on Saturday, you're in the top 12 and you're in the playoff picture more than you were this week. You know, a lot of teams are, and a lot of people are counting you out. I mean, I look even at the betting odds. You know, in a neutral field, Alabama would be 6 spots ahead, or 6 points ahead of LSU. We went over to our good friends over at Bet Online and got the number. It was at 2.5. It's moved up to LSU +3. I disagree with that number. Clearly, I disagree with that number because I think LSU is going to win. But you're going to be favored in every single game down the stretch. You are staring, this coaching staff is staring down the barrel of, this team is staring down the barrel of, these players are staring down the barrel of. Guys, I got to be real with you. The expectation of where you are as a team should be playoff right now. Should be playoff. You're going to find out so much about the culture under Brian Kelly at LSU. You know, when he got hired, a lot of people went, I should say. A lot of people said, Brian Kelly's not a fit in the Bayou. Well, let me tell you what makes him a fit in the Bayou. He wins out these next 4 games. They're going to be calling him Irish Bayou Brian Kelly. Irish pubs are going to be popping up everywhere because he got him to a playoff. God forbid he goes on a run. Now, I don't know if this team's good enough, but it's interesting if you stop turning the ball over, what is this team? If you can find a moderate running game, what is this team? If you can stop a running quarterback, what is this team? The truth. Guys, a letdown for me at this exact moment because I don't think Bama right now is better than you. I don't. Could be proven wrong. Been wrong before. But the last time that I picked LSU to lose at home, the last time it happened, Auburn, Bo Nix, in here, Ed, fired. Some about this place tonight. The road isn't easy, but you are more than capable. You're above more than capable of going in here and winning. So we'll see. I mean, look, here's the last thing that I'd say. Bryce Coon joins us. Oh, well, shit, now. Let me get to this. The last thing. Listen, you beat Bama this weekend. Everything riding in on that. I do think that if you win out, you got to win out to make a playoff. It's just mentally where I'm at right now, because I don't see Tennessee losing, but maybe one other game. Indiana maybe loses to Ohio State. Guys, the numbers start getting really thin there. But if you do win out, you're going to Atlanta. You're going to Atlanta. Georgia might be the team on the outs, but they need you to lose. Or they need, well, I guess technically they need A&M to lose one more time. Then it'd be you and Georgia. Texas would be on the outside. So you're in a predicament spot, man. Very, very close predicament. So we'll see. All right, let me get to a quick break. Bryce Koon, 247 Sports, and the Crowded Booth joins us next. Let's talk about our good friends. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirement. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. Bryce Koon, the Crowded Booth, 247 Sports. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Blake, how's everything going? You doing well?
I'm doing well. You know, the Bryce, I get pretty antsy during the bye week because multiple things with the wife happen. You probably understand this more than most. When you get the bye week, things get ramped up around the house.
Honey-do list, for sure.
Well, and see, my little girl Jules, she came during the bye week between LSU and Bama a couple of years ago. She was like, you know what? Dad's got to work. He can't miss Bama week. I was literally holding Jewel as a newborn when Mason Taylor went in the back of the end zone, bang, touchdown. And how she did not wake up when I freaked out, I will never know.
I don't think I've told you. I've probably told you this, Blake. And in no way does it beat that story that you just gave. But this is the 2-year anniversary of when my wife and I first visited to see if we'd even take the job to come down here to Baton Rouge. It was this weekend. I was working, obviously, covering the ACC, and it was the one bye week we had. And so what a game. And what a time to be in Baton Rouge with traffic. You never set foot inside the city limits, and you get to experience Alabama LSU weekend in terms of traffic around campus. So, at the very least, we were like, it can't get any worse than this, right? Like this is as bad as it gets.
Well, Garth Brooks thing comes to town and all shit goes down. All shit goes to hell. But I do agree. I mean, listen. Outside of Garth Brooks, LSU-Bama, from a traffic perspective, is going to be the worst. When they build that new stadium, they need to build like an on-ramp to the interstate so that, if you're going to spend $500 million, what's an extra $100 million to get an interstate put in? That's all I'm going to say. I'll throw that out there, but what do I know? So Bryce Koon joining us. I'm glad you're here with us. So I'm going to ask you this. You've been in recruiting for a while, and I don't want to talk about specific like recruits, but a big game like this with this many high profile kids coming in here. Bryce, I know money's money and NIL's NIL and all that stuff's going to figure itself out. I mean, that's a different beast. Mm-hmm. You beat Bama on Saturday night with a kid like Jakeem Stewart in town. That's a big deal, man. Like, recruiting's still recruiting, right?
Hands down. And I kind of, to give a little parallel to this, on our channel, we're getting ready to release an interview with Aaron Gregory, one of the top 2026 receivers. We talked to him, and he obviously committed to A&M at the A&M LSU game. And I kind of, one of the questions I posed to him, Blake, was money. I mean, obviously we know, like, we can talk with the kids about it. You can be open. NIL's there. We know A&M has it. But I said, how much does an atmosphere, and you combine that with an emotional game like that, like, does that still play? Maybe for you and your experience, does that still play when you talk to other guys? And he said it's still one of the top things, like obviously relationships with coaches and NIL. But I think that, for LSU, it's not just that you got to go win the football game. It's for your guys that are in the building. And that's obviously should be the most important thing, for those guys, and focusing on them that are there inside that locker room. But Blake, a win against Alabama, I mean, I wasn't covering the team at the time. I would love to go back and look at what was that visitor list like in 2022 when they beat them, and what was the domino effect?
JV Toviano was the biggest domino in that one. Yep. And in 2018, it would have been Jamar Chase, John Emery, Jets was still here. I'd have to go back through that class, but Jamar Chase was the cream of the crop in that one.
So you look at those games, okay, and you look at what they mean. Look, kids are still kids. They're still going to look in awe at the lights, at the atmosphere, what's going on, and it still matters to them. So with Jakeem Stewart in the building, with a plethora of guys that are committed, that are obviously, they've been texting back and forth, but now to be there shoulder to shoulder with these guys kind of, in the pregame. I've said this, I've covered recruiting, not just in the state of Louisiana, but covered it in Georgia as well. Been to many games where you get to see how the recruits interact with players in the field. I think LSU does a really good job of having it not just a stand around time, but they sit in that corner of the end zone where they really get to feel the student section behind them. And then right as LSU's about to leave the field to come back out, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, when they run to the corner of the end zone. And I think they I can't remember what song they play, but I mean, it's a chills moment, and the kids love it. Like, you can tell these guys, like, okay, this is big time SEC football. So all of that stuff that for fans, we might just be like, oh yeah, it's cool. Like, the kids still care, and they still like that. And I know that money dominates this sport. I know all that kind of stuff. But man, if you win on Saturday, you're talking about momentum, not for just the group that's in that locker room currently, but for a recruiting staff that I know is working their tail off to try to close some of these things as we get close to this early signing day, which, Blake, I cannot believe we're less than 4 weeks away, from that date.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, Bryce. And so I bring up even like the Bryce Underwood deal. I mean, everybody and their mama wants to talk about it, and I'm not going to shy away from it. I mean, Bryce, the things out there. I mean, like the Portnoy things out there, the money things out there, right? And I think that, look, you can't convince me, Bryce, that if you win and that kid's having a great time and he's loving it and he's freaking out and he's storming the field, if that even happens. Now, I'm not condoning storming the field when you beat a 3-loss Bama team, but all I'm saying is that's when money starts pouring in. You make the playoff, that's when money starts pouring in for this kind of stuff.
Hands down. And, I'll speak a little bit to it. Anyone who is shocked by, oh no, reading the headlines, in terms of what Michigan's doing, That's not a surprise, guys. Like everybody does that with their top in-state talent. It's not something that's completely unheard of. People on Michigan staff, their heads should roll if they're not doing it, type of stuff. I mean, if you're not making a last-ditch effort, especially what you've seen on the field this season at the quarterback position for the Wolverines. So, but you go back into what it could mean in terms of that, Blake. I mean, it's huge. It's imperative. Kids care about the in-game atmosphere. They care about those things, and I think too, this is really for a lot of the guys, especially the out-of-state guys. Like you got your in-state kids who, we talk to them all the time. Like Jace Thomas is a great kid out there in Destrehan. The kid's been on, every single game this year. JD LaFleur is another one. I mean, a legacy. Like you're not worried about those. Those guys will probably come back for Vandy in Oklahoma just because they want to be around the program. But for a guy like Bryce Underwood, I think it's just kind of make sure that you've dotted the I's, you cross your T's, and all that type of stuff. Like it feels. I might go on a limb here. It feels like a formality. It feels like LSU understands. From what I've heard and been told, they didn't get caught with their pants down when Michigan, this rumor stuff came out about Michigan. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, yeah, it's real. They know what's going on. So this atmosphere on Saturday is huge for him in terms of just kind of, the wink, the nods of saying like, yeah, you're good. Joe Sloan up there last week was really big for that. So I'm not necessarily concerned about Bryce Underwood. I think when you start hearing things from him or any type of cryptic stuff, that's when you start to get a little concerned. And Blake, to my knowledge at least, we haven't heard anything that would suggest anything that would shift or change right now.
Bryce, I think that the normal fan has a problem with paying close to 7 figures to a high school recruit, and I think that here's what my combatant has been in that. Okay. The last thing I'd say on recruiting are this. Hey, big dog, if they're here for 4 years, they're going to make $1 million in TV revenue money. Mm-hmm. They're going to make $250,000. So a kid's going to make $1 million if he stays 4 years here anyway. So you want to talk about the 7 figures? Like, okay, good for you. All right. But the bottom line is like, that's here. We're not speculating on that part anymore, Bryce. You know what I mean? Like that went through the House court. And look, I'm not trying to get political here at all. But like Ted Cruz, that's a big deal because he's over the committee that's now going to be foreseeing this too. So I mean, again, it's here. So listen, this is what Ben Ruffino is going to do in 2027. He's going to redshirt in year 1, okay, and then we're going to play the 4 years. We're going to milk every single ounce of this money.
Why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Like seriously. Like I mean. I've got my 5-month-old daughter in there, and we got to get her some basketball shoes and get ready to go for Kim Mulkey. I mean, that's what we got to do, right? Like, I don't have an issue. This is the thing. The people who are still complaining about it, you might not like it is what it is. I mean, you're not going to change what this sport has become now. Now, we might see changes in 5-10 years, maybe sooner to some addendums to what we're learning at this sport is. But in terms of large scale, where that shift has happened, LSU has to play the game. I get that you don't like it. But it does make it all more important that you win, because when you are in the race and you're in the sweepstakes for a guy like Bryce Underwood and you're paying what you have to pay, you better win with it. Like, I mean, I'll just say this and don't want to get too far off topic. I've said repeatedly, if Tennessee doesn't reach a national title game with Nico, that's a failure. Because the amount that you invested into him, that's the expectation. Guys like Nico, and I still think he's a great player. He's got time to develop, but you got essentially another year potentially of him since he's be a redshirt sophomore, unless he takes a massive jump. You got to go deep and make a playoff run, because guys like that don't grow on trees. And I'd say the same thing for Bryce Underwood. Kelly's future might be tied to what they do with Bryce Underwood in terms of that development.
I mean, you're not wrong. And I'm thinking about Nico. I know people don't want to talk Tennessee.
Yeah.
At minimum, they got to make it to a semifinal.
You got to make it to a top 4 situation.
No doubt. And if you get there, I think, considering where you came from, and then you have the Brandon kid that they have committed, correct?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Then it would be for Heupel's situation, like, hey man, you revamped it with Nico and Hooker. Now can you sustain? I think, but that's at minimum, right? Like, I mean, that's all things considered. All right, Bryce Coon, the Crowded Booth, and 247 Sports joins us. Let's get to the real topic of why people want to be here. They're like, y'all shut y'all's mouth. LSU-Bama. Bryce, what's your pulse on this game? I'm going to leave it open-ended to you. What's your pulse on it?
Man, this is my fourth show of the day talking about this game, and
busy week, huh?
yeah, it's pretty big week.
Busy week, right?
Pretty big week. Blake, we can take this a lot of different ways. My concern, and I went back, got the 5-month-old, so we got some late nights. So I'll turn on the film on YouTube there, for about 2 a.m. and start watching. My biggest concern is we know what Jalen Milroe can do off script. Like, that's not going to surprise anybody. We know what's going to happen. He's going to run around and do what he's going to do. Outside contain scares me in this game, and gap integrity and sound fundamental just playing in your lane scares me in terms of the front seven. And I asked Savion Jones this, the importance of not rushing past Jalen Milroe. Like, they had success with that against Taylon Green. I don't know if Taylon Green's the true runner that people are trying to make him out to be when they talk about, well, they did this against Arkansas. Well, yeah, but he's a dual threat, but he's not the pure runner. Now,
how'd you do against Lenore Sellers is what I really want to know.
Exactly. Go back and watch the South Carolina tape. And I'm not saying that you can't evolve. Teams are I'm not saying LSU's the same team they were in September. That I can't get past that, Blake. Like, for me to confidently say LSU can win this game, I can't get past wondering if things start to spiral, can LSU rein it back in? Because that's a hard dude to rein it back in on. Like, once he gets rolling, like I've said this, and if he gets a little rhythm in the passing game like he did in that first half against Georgia, he's truly one of the top 3, top 5 most unguardable players in the country.
Oh, no doubt.
I genuinely don't know how you rein it back in. Now, Georgia did a good job of that in the second half. So you have to go look at what they did. Problem is, Georgia has a better talent on that defensive line than LSU does.
Especially in the interior.
So that's my big concern. We can talk about Nussmeier. We can talk about, Alabama's secondary, which I think is way better than I think they're better than they were earlier in the season. That's my big concern. I can't get past that, because if LSU starts to try to play backyard football, I think Milroe beats them at that. And that's my biggest concern if I'm an LSU fan heading into this game.
What's your biggest what do you think the biggest strength is? Like LSU's biggest strength.
I kind of talked about this, and a lot of it hinges on C.J. Daniels. I haven't seen the injury report, by the way. Has it officially dropped?
It comes out around 7:05, 7:10.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's right. I'm used to the 7 o'clock show. That's what it is.
Yeah, me too. But Matt McMahon, with the audacity that he just couldn't push the game back one more day when we go live at 6. The audacity.
You got to hate it. The biggest strength to me is I think LSU's receivers have the upper hand against Alabama's secondary. And I don't think Alabama's secondary is bad, but it's so well balanced. And if they get Mason Taylor involved early, you can't key in on a guy. Like, I mentioned the injury report. C.J. Daniels was never, in my opinion, going to be the 1,000-yard receiver for this team. He wasn't going to get enough looks in that. Like, that's what he was at Liberty, and that's why he has the opportunity to play at LSU. But you start to kind of look, and I was talking with someone who does scouting in the NFL, and they said, watch how many times he has his back to the end zone. And what you mean by that is that he is a really good possession receiver. Third and 5, 3rd and 6, running that out route, running that curl route, a physical body over the middle of the field. Like, it's not necessarily flashy, but it feels like it's a pretty good safety blanket for Garrett Nussmeier at times. Because when you put him on the field, Blake, then we talk about how you're going to guard Aaron Anderson. I think Joe Sloan can get really creative with where he matches him up. Kyron Lacey, obviously, and then Mason Taylor. I mean, that's 4 guys, and I don't care how good your defense is. That's hard. Like, you're going to have to ask your guys to win a lot of one-on-one battles and be very disciplined with their eyes in zone coverage. And I think that's where LSU has the upper hand. And then I also like LSU's I like the yak. I like the yards after the catch. Like, I think they could do very well in that category because they got some guys that can move around.
Yeah, you love the yak, and you're not talking about the goat.
That's true.
I was wondering if anybody would get that pun. Here's the problem I have with that. I agree with everything that you just said. The problem that I have is that Nuss does not throw to them enough.
Yeah. We're talking that's a hypothetical, because everything I just said is it would be nice, but he doesn't throw to them enough.
Well, here's the problem I have. Okay, I'm just going to be open with you. Let's take the turnovers away for just a moment. Just hypothetically, Aaron Anderson is 4 yards behind Kyron Lacy in receiving yards. He has half the targets. So it means I'm getting more production when I'm going to Aaron Anderson. Now, I'm not saying that Aaron Anderson is built to be your number one wide receiver. However, if he's my number two, then he's the best number two in the SEC right now, considering the amount of targets, the amount of catches versus the touchdowns and yards. I kind of compared it to he would be what Malik without the touchdowns, right? I mean, Malik was not as targeted, okay, and he had insane yards. I mean, Chris Hilton being back, I think, is a big deal. But Bryce, I think that this kid could be a 1,000-yard receiver. Like he's on pace for being a 1,000-yard receiver. I mean, if he has the 80 in the next 5 games that he plays, at minimum, he's going to be there. So I think that I look at him and I'm saying I love the philosophy of going to CJ, Chris, Mason, and Aaron. The problem I have is that over 50% of your targets is going to Kyron.
Yeah. No, I mean, when you look at this, Blake, I think you really have to gauge the fact that every single time, and you kind of said this, Aaron Anderson touches the ball, it feels like something explosive happens.
Every time.
Every time. It's not just a 5-yard pickup here, 6-yard pickup here. Like you talked about, he doesn't get the volume, but what he does with his opportunities, and seriously, like I'm not a guru when it comes to this. I don't know if it's his route running, his separation, a combination of both. Like he a lot of times he doesn't have guys draped all over him. Like he's
I think he's physical for his size. I mean, think about the hit at A&M on the third down, the out route where he's bouncing off of dudes, and I'm like, okay, man.
Yeah.
So
I like what Aaron Anderson brings to the table. You go back to that touchdown that he had at A&M. I mean, a lot of A&M fans were just kind of complaining, like, well, it's busted coverage. I'm like, no, he destroyed angles. Like he caught that ball, and where you thought you had an angle on him, it was gone. Like that, it was just gone.
All right, last one. I know we got to roll out of here. I appreciate your time. Thoughts on how this game goes? Who are you taking here?
I'm not glad we're not doing this in person, Blake. Man.
Look, if you take Bama, I'm not going to be mad. Now, I'll tell you this. There's a affiliate that you have with CBS who was threatened this week at a national show. So I'm going to say it was threatened.
Well, that's not a surprise. That's not a surprise. Look, I believe in home field advantage. You've got me hooked. You know what I mean? Like you have me hooked on LSU Tiger Stadium. You have me hooked. You had me. I can fully believe. I know LSU collapsed in that game at A&M. That crowd standing on the sideline, that they played a factor. It's just different.
However,
I just worry, Blake. I mean, you can't let. I know Alabama's not running Milroe as much as they have. I get that, but if they do, like if Kalen DeBoer's smart, they're going to do it. They're going to do it, and they're going to say, "Okay,
he's going to do it.
You struggle with this. We're gonna do this until you have shown that you can defend it. And if they don't defend it, man, he's going to run wild." And last year in Tuscaloosa, we were watching for the press box, and I just have those terrible flashbacks of watching.
You have Milroe
12,
PTSD.
3rd and 10, yeah, and watching him just. I know it's a different defense, a different coaching staff. I just have those memories of him just gut-wrenching 3rd and long conversions. And yeah, I mean, I think LSU could win this game, wouldn't surprise me. Alabama could win this game, wouldn't surprise me. I'm leaning Alabama right now, and that's here on Wednesday night. I understand the discipline issues. I get it. I understand. There's not one storyline that you're going to tell an LSU or Alabama writer or media member at this point they're not going to have heard. We're going to talk the dog out of this game until Saturday night. There's just something I'm just Nuss's decision-making, the decisiveness factor, and leaky 3rd down defense are the 2 factors I think Alabama could beat them at, and LSU could beat themselves at. So, you said earlier, I don't think Alabama's the more talented team on paper. I don't think they are, but that does not matter. Nobody cares who you are coming off the bus anymore. You walk into our stadium, it doesn't matter. So, I got Alabama winning close right now, man, but I could flip it. It could go either way.
You know, last thing, I swear to gosh, because I got to roll too. But here's the bottom line. I don't care what anybody tells me. You have what I consider a 6 turnover performance with 2 missed field goals, a bad snap, and 3 interceptions. You're not beating anybody.
No.
I mean, and listen, Bryce, I'm done at this point with this. Spare me. I'm tired of the picks. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, Carson Beck does not get – I mean, Carson Beck gets more hate than Garrett, and they have the same amount of picks. I mean, at some point, we got to turn off the purple and gold glasses here, man.
Well, and this thing, I get everyone loves him. He stayed through the time. I get that's cool. That doesn't make you absent of criticism. And look, I enjoy talking to Nuss. I will be straight up honest with you. They did player interviews with him yesterday. I didn't even talk to him because I don't. He's so up on coach speak at this point, and that's fine. I get that, man. We just got to play better. Okay, yeah. I mean, we all know that. Like, we can see that. You know, my mom calls me, hey, that quarterback's got to play better. Okay, yeah, of course. I mean, you got to take the purple and gold glasses off. You've got to be real about it. He's got to play well. If he doesn't play well in this game, like, you have to have a serious conversation of, like, this is a disappointment. Like, it's disappointing season for him in terms of what you wanted to accomplish.
Oh, no doubt.
You know, it is. And so it'll be interesting to watch going forward.
I would rather you not make the throw and it not get picked than make the throw and it get picked.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, you're right.
All right. Bryce Koon, 247 Sports, the Crowded Booth. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it, brother.
All right. That's Bryce Koon. I got to get out of here as well. We have Ruffino and Joe show coming up here at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So why don't you just do this? I am sorry. We will get to picks tomorrow. We'll be back at 6 o'clock. This was just a goofy-ass week. And, of course, it always falls on Bama. But we'll be back tomorrow. Go to Ruffino and Joe show. We'll be there as well. Y'all have a good night. Peace.